I don't remember a great deal of laughter, except that Dad said things sometimes that made me funny. I remember we were watching a variety show once, and there was some act on, and he just said to me very seriously, he said, "I don't think this will ever replace entertainment, do you?" And I thought that was terribly funny and elegant.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
My dad was funny, but not so much as funny as being a liar. He was the biggest liar in God's earth. He said he got the military medal at the Battle of the Somme. He was a liar. He was only 3-year-old. He got the military medal at the battle for destroying the enemy lines of communication. I said, "What did you do?" He said, "I eat the pigeon."
My father was very rude. I remember him using the equivalent of F words and C words in the Iranian language, Farsi. I could hear that when I was like 5 or 6. I'm thinking he's really foul-mouthed, and that's inappropriate to talk like that around me, but it was very funny.
When we sat down for dinner, he'd have a little stick, and if you managed one, he'd give you a clout, you know. Father once asked me who was the first man mentioned in the Bible, and I said chap 1, and that was nearly blasphemy. That was nearly blasphemy, you know. I mean, yeah, you're sent to bed for every day for a week. Like, it's serious.
My dad's side of the family thought they were funny, but weren't really. I remember one of my cousins saying to me once, do you eat meat? And I said, yeah, I do. He said, "That's a terrible thing. What a terrible thing to do." And I said, "Yeah, but we got the right teeth, you know, got the molars and the incisors and everything." And he said, "Yes, but God has given us a brain, and, you know, we don't have to eat meat. There are a lot of people in the world who are vegetarians, very healthy, very successful." And I said, "Well, I suppose so." And he said, "You don't feel bad when you see a lamb playing in the field, you know, you're driving in the car, you see a lamb bouncing up, you don't feel bad?" And I said, I've never thought about it that way. And I said, "Do you eat meat?" And he said, "Oh, yes. And I said, "Why do you eat it?" And he said, "I really like the taste." And that was his argument.
My mother was the funny one. She would take a rubber band, cut it in half, and stuff it in her nose and be at a very elegant dinner party, and this thing would fall out, and my dad would go, "Great. She's doing, oh, good, it's great."
So gags. You actually did
Big
gags.
gags, yeah. And Dad was more like, "Oh, please, no."
Both my parents were communists. We would go to sort of big public meetings, you know, protest things. And the only way I knew how to get around London was to start at Speaker's Corner and walk down the middle of the road shouting. And I could only ever go to the American Embassy or St. Paul's.
Now, in my head, my mother's mother, my grandmother, that side, was funny. I have nothing to back this up. I have no anecdote about it.
Yes.
But somehow in my head, I remember her as being funny. She did have a very funny doll she got from Paris as a young girl when she went there. And it was a sort of, you know, it was quite a lifelike rubber doll.
Yes.
And you squeeze its stomach and its bra fell down. And,
I'm loving that.
Yeah.
Does it still exist?
no. Sadly, we overused it. And the rubber weathered.
They all went to sea, you say. All the men were all sailors.
Yeah.
So they'd be away for a long time. So the women ran the shop. And then the men had come back, and of course it was, as they said, jars out. You know, there'd be a big barrel in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And it was like, I remember my Uncle Harold came back with a bush baby. It was before quarantine.
An actual live bush baby?
Yeah, a bush baby. And my Auntie Annie said, "Oh, isn't it good? It sleeps all day." No, because it slept all day. Of course, these things are nocturnal. So everybody went to bed. And it sounded like we had burglars. Smash, crash. And my Auntie Annie came down with her rollers in and her glasses, and this thing leapt at her, ripped the glasses off her face, hanging off her rollers. So that went to Chester Zoo, the bush baby.
Oh, God.
But we had all sorts, parrots, and all manner was brought back. So it was a bit of a madhouse when I was a kid.
My grandma was very, very funny, and there was a parrot that lived next door that said the N-word. It said it all the time. And when we left there, we left on a train, and my grandmother was laughing. I said, "Grandma, what are you laughing at?" She said, "The bird won't be saying that anymore." I said, "Why?" She said, "I poisoned it."
My dad was the vicar of the Isle of Dogs. There was nowhere to exercise a dog. My parents wanted a dog, so we couldn't really have a dog. So instead they bought a cat, which they then treated like a dog for its whole life. And I had one brother, but this cat was like, you know, a third child. When I was about 17, my dad was made a bishop, and he moved to Yorkshire, and we had to stay in London because I was doing my A-levels. So my mum stayed with me, my brother left home, my mum stayed with me, and we lived in a flat, and my dad took the cat. But the cat obviously couldn't be left in Yorkshire if he came to visit or something. Because, you know, cats don't do that.
No.
No, cats travel. And because he thought that the cat might, you know, get a bit bored or something in the car, he built a shelf for the cat, which went from the dashboard of the car to the headrest.
So it's in the front seat?
It's in the front
Where,
seat.
frankly, your mother should be.
Yeah, if you saw the car coming, there's a bishop and a cat.
Dearly beloved,
Were you a performer then?
No, not at all.
You wouldn't do a turn for your mum or anything?
Oh, I used to go to the kitchen table and sing "Kiss Me, Honey, Honey, Kiss Me."
I call that a performer, Paul. Sorry.
No, I did. You know, they said,
Did you?
Get up, Paul. Yeah, and I'd get up and we had the tape machine and then I'd sing this "Kiss Me, Honey, Honey, Kiss Me."
And would they be laughing at that, or would they be genuinely
Oh, no,
entertained?
roaring, laughing.
The only one turn I did for my family was when I played truant to go on New Faces. I went for an audition from school Friday, and I didn't go to school. Mum was waiting for me when I got back. I'd spent all day away from school, and I didn't get back from Birmingham until 6 o'clock. And she was waiting there like this, and she said, "Where have you been today?" And I said, "I went for an audition." "Audition for what?" I said, "For this talent show, New Faces." And it was like an alien had just gone like this and ripped off its face to reveal that it was an alien. Because she didn't know about this other life. I did a 10-minute version of "Here's a funny story, thank you very much," and "Good evening," and all the impressions that I used to do. And she just sort of laughed. Well, it wasn't a kind of a ha ha ha, very funny. It was a kind of kind of hysterical, strange, he does this, oh God, what does this mean kind of laugh.
Did you ever do a turn when you were a kid? Were you ever
I
required
could do my
to-
grandmother. My mother had a nickname, Punky, and I'd go, "Punky, Punky, oh, we're all missing you down here. You should come back down now. It's so wonderful. The clan doesn't have the regular sheets, we do fitted sheets. It's a club, it's more like a club, and they don't burn across, they have a neon one they turn on. They're much more accessible. But I would kid her with that, and she would be mellow with that.
So it was safe for you to be funny as a kid?
I was like the little kid who could be seen but not heard. You know, the thing of come down, entertain. Hello, sir, nice to meet you. Ta-da, get out. You know, meet the guests, go back upstairs.
I did want to be in control. I am a control freak, so I wanted to be in control. We'd go once or even twice a week to theatres here on Merseyside to see shows, and that's when I fell in love with the stage. I realised right away that the leader of the gang, the engine driver of any show, the boss man was always the comedian. And so I used to, now and then we'd give backyard concerts.
Oh, did you?
Oh yes, backyard concerts. Admission, 1 cigarette card, or 2 conkers.
My sister is a couple of years older than me, and she was very entertaining, and she used to recite Pam Ayres poems. and then we used to have a little puff that and she used to stand on the puff and recite Pam Ayres poems. And then I just
For the benefit of the family?
Yes, for the family.
Did it hurt your back?
I wish I looked after me teeth. And then I'd push her off and get off, and I'd just go pa 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 pa, because I hadn't learnt any poems, but I wanted to have the same experience of people looking at me and enjoying it. So I used to just go pa 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 pa.
Down in the village hall, they were having an Edwardian evening, and everyone was going to be doing songs and all dressed in Edwardian gear and singing, you know, Daisy Daisy and stuff like that. That was how it was done. My brother and I decided what we would do is a ventriloquist act, and I'd be the dummy. I had this little sort of Edwardian sailor suit on. I was about 8 or something, and huge red cheeks, and I sat on his knee, and of course he did the feed lines, and I did the you know. and I can remember the feeling of this guy in the front row almost dying of laughter. I mean, he was seriously in pain to that point where you think, maybe I should stop, actually, because this is
Might kill him.
quite bad.